The endless expanse of stars stretched before Lieutenant James Harrison as he gazed through the reinforced windows of Lunar Research Station Alpha. His dark eyes reflected the cosmic dance of distant celestial bodies, a sight that never failed to humble him even after 3 years of service at humanity's furthest permanent outpost. The gentle hum of the station's life support systems provided a soothing backdrop to his early morning shift monitoring deep space communications. James ran his fingers through his short black hair, stifling a yawn as he performed his routine check of the quantum array sensors. That's when he heard it, a melody unlike anything in Earth's database. The signal pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm, mathematical in its precision yet organic in its flow. James's training kicked in as his fingers flew across the holographic interface, isolating and analyzing the transmission. Station control, this is Harrison at communications. I'm picking up an anomalous signal from Sector 7. Pattern suggests artificial origin, non-human. The response came immediately, verified, Lieutenant. We're seeing it too. Keep monitoring and maintain protocol. The signal grew stronger, and with it came a shimmer in space, a distortion that twisted the starlight into impossible patterns. James watched in awe as a vessel emerged, its hull gleaming with an iridescent material unknown to human science. The ship's design defied conventional physics, curves and angles flowing in ways that seemed to bend reality itself. Station control, we have visual contact. Unknown vessel has dropped out of some form of FTL travel. Dimensions approximately 3 times our largest ships. No signs of hostile intent. Before control could respond, a new signal overlaid the first, this one clearly a communication attempt. James's heart raced as he initiated first contact protocols, his years of training crystallizing into this moment. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a face that took his breath away. The being before him had features that were simultaneously alien and enchanting, skin that seemed to shimmer with subtle patterns of light, eyes of deep violet that held ancient wisdom, and an elegant bearing that spoke of advanced civilization. Greetings, Lunar Research Station, the being spoke in perfect English, though her lips moved in slightly unexpected ways. I am Ambassador Naira Valos of the Varian Confederation. We come in peace, seeking dialogue with Earth's representatives. James maintained his professional composure, though his pulse quickened. Ambassador Valos, I am Lieutenant James Harrison. On behalf of Earth's United Space Command, welcome. We're honored to make first contact. A slight smile graced Naira's features, causing subtle waves of light to dance across her skin. The honor is mutual, Lieutenant. Our studies of human civilization have been fascinating. Perhaps you would be willing to assist in facilitating formal diplomatic relations? Over the next hours, James coordinated with Earth's hastily assembled first contact team while serving as the primary liaison with Ambassador Valos. He learned that the Varians had been observing humanity for decades, waiting for the right moment to initiate contact. Their civilization spanned several star systems, and they had technology that made Earth's greatest achievements seem primitive by comparison. Yet despite their advancement, Naira displayed a genuine curiosity about human culture that went beyond diplomatic courtesy. During breaks in the formal discussions, she asked James about Earth's arts, music, and philosophy. Her questions revealed a depth of insight that challenged his preconceptions about alien intelligence. Your species creates art that serves no practical purpose, she observed during one such conversation. It's inefficient, yet it produces results that we find deeply moving. How do you explain this paradox? James considered her question carefully. Perhaps that's exactly why it moves you, because it comes from a place beyond logic and efficiency. Beauty doesn't always need a reason. Naira's violet eyes seemed to shimmer with interest. An intriguing perspective. Among my people, everything must serve a purpose. But I find myself drawn to this human capacity for creating something simply because it brings joy. As the Earth Day progressed, James found himself increasingly captivated by Naira's presence. It wasn't just her exotic appearance, there was an intelligence and grace about her that transcended species. When she spoke about her home worlds, her descriptions painted pictures of environments that challenged human imagination. Yet beneath the formal exchanges and cultural discussions, James sensed something more, a connection that defied the vast differences between their species. When their eyes met, he felt as though he could see past the alien features to something fundamentally kindred. The day's negotiations were drawing to a close when Naira made an unexpected request. "Lieutenant Harrison, my people believe that true understanding comes from shared experiences. Would you be willing to visit our vessel? There are aspects of our culture that cannot be adequately conveyed through words alone." James glanced at his superior officers, who nodded their approval after a brief discussion. This was an unprecedented opportunity for human-Varian relations. Yet as he prepared to board the alien ship, James couldn't shake the feeling that he was stepping into something far more significant than a diplomatic exchange. Little did he know that this first contact would set in motion events that would challenge everything both humans and Varians believed about the nature of connection, consciousness, and the very fabric of spacetime itself. The interior of the Varian vessel defied every expectation James had about alien spacecraft. Instead of sterile metallic corridors, he found himself walking through passages that seemed alive, walls that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns and floors that adjusted to each step with subtle responsiveness. The air itself carried a faint scent reminiscent of Earth's oceans at dawn. "Our ships are grown, not built," Naira explained, noting his wonderment. "They're living organisms, engineered to serve as both vessel and habitat." She placed her hand against a wall, and James watched in amazement as the surface rippled in response, patterns of light flowing from her touch like waves on water. The diplomatic mission had evolved over the past week, with James serving as the primary human liaison to the Varians. Each day brought new revelations about their advanced civilization, but it was the quiet moments with Naira that truly captured his attention. She led him into what appeared to be an observation chamber, though chamber seemed an inadequate word for the space that opened before them. The room's walls were completely transparent, offering an unobstructed view of Earth floating in the cosmic void. But it was more than just a view. Somehow, the Varians had created a space that made observers feel as though they were floating among the stars themselves. "This is our contemplation sphere," Naira said softly. "It helps us maintain perspective during complex negotiations." She moved closer to him, her presence causing subtle changes in the room's ambient lighting. "Tell me, James, what do you see when you look at your world from here?" He studied the blue marble of Earth, so familiar yet somehow new from this vantage point. "I see possibility. All of human history, everything we've accomplished and everything we've yet to dream of, contained in that single sphere of life." Naira's violet eyes met his, and he noticed flecks of silver in their depths that he hadn't seen before. An interesting answer. Most species see only resources or strategic value when they first achieve space travel. But humans, you see beauty in everything, don't you? Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from Earth Command. Reports were coming in of unusual energy signatures near several major cities, signatures that matched Varian technology. "Ambassador," James turned to Naira, professionalism warring with his growing personal feelings. "I need to know, are there other Varian ships in Earth's atmosphere?" A shadow passed across Naira's features, her skin's natural luminescence dimming slightly. "There shouldn't be. Our diplomatic mission was meant to be the first official contact." She moved to a control interface, her fingers dancing across surfaces that responded to her touch like liquid light. "These readings, they're familiar, but they're not from any authorized Varian vessel." Over the next hours, tension mounted as more reports came in. Earth's military forces were on high alert, and some voices in the government were calling for the diplomatic mission to be suspended. James found himself caught between his duty to Earth and his growing trust in Naira. During a private moment between crisis meetings, Naira shared a troubling revelation. There are factions within our confederation who believe that emerging species should be guided more directly in their development. They see Earth's potential, but they fear your unpredictability. James felt a chill despite the comfortable temperature. Guided? You mean controlled? Naira's expression was pained. Not all of my people share the official policy of non-interference. Some believe that humanity's rapid technological advancement poses a risk to galactic stability. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. James, what I'm about to tell you goes against my diplomatic directives, but I believe you need to know. The energy signatures you're detecting, they're consistent with observation platforms we used during our initial studies of Earth. Why tell me this? James asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Because in the short time I've known you, I've seen something in humans that many of my people don't understand. Your species has an incredible capacity for growth, for adaptation, for seeing possibilities where others see only chaos. Her hand touched his arm, sending a tingling sensation through his body. And because I've come to trust you in ways I never expected. Their moment of connection was shattered by a priority alert. One of the unknown energy signatures had materialized into a visible craft over Singapore, causing widespread panic. Earth's military was mobilizing, and the situation was rapidly approaching a point of no return. James looked at Naira, seeing his own concern reflected in her alien features. They both understood that the next few hours would determine not just their personal future, but the future of human-Varian relations. The question was, could they find a way to prevent conflict between their peoples while navigating their own deepening connection? As they rushed to the ship's command center, James couldn't help but notice how naturally they moved together, two beings from vastly different worlds united by a common purpose. Whatever happened next, he knew that his life had been irrevocably changed by this enigmatic woman from the stars. The Varian Command Center was a symphony of light and motion, organic displays flowing across curved surfaces like schools of bioluminescent fish. James watched as Naira interfaced directly with the ship's systems, her consciousness merging with the living vessel in ways that human technology could only dream of achieving. The rogue vessels are using outdated encryption protocols, she announced, her voice carrying an otherworldly echo as she maintained her connection with the ship. They're definitely not part of the official diplomatic fleet. Her violet eyes snapped open, filled with concern. James, they're preparing to broadcast something across all Earth communication channels. Before either of them could react, every screen in the command center flickered to life. A Varian face appeared, similar to Naira's in basic features but harder, marked by an intensity that made James instinctively uneasy. People of Earth, the figure began, I am Coordinator Vex of the True Path Movement. Your species has been deemed too volatile for unrestricted development. For the safety of the galaxy, we will now assume direct guidance of your civilization's evolution. James felt his blood run cold. They're trying to force our hand, create a situation where Earth has no choice but to accept their control. He turned to Naira, who was already deep in communion with her ship's systems. Can we stop the broadcast? Working on it, she replied, her skin pulsing with patterns he'd never seen before. But James, there's something else. Something worse. She waved her hand, and a new display materialized showing complex energy readings. They're not just here to make demands. Those ships are carrying quantum resonance devices. What does that mean? They can use them to temporarily disable all electronic technology on Earth. Your power grids, communications, defense systems, everything would go dark. Her expression was grim. It's a technique we once used to prevent developing civilizations from destroying themselves, but it was banned centuries ago due to the catastrophic cultural damage it caused. James ran his hands through his hair in frustration. So these True Path extremists want to send Earth back to the Dark Ages, for our own good? Yes, but... Naira hesitated, then made a decision. "There's something you should know about my species, James. Something that wasn't included in the official diplomatic briefings." She led him to a private chamber adjacent to the command center. As the door sealed behind them, the air seemed to thicken with anticipation. "The Varians evolved as a psychically linked species," she began. "Our bioluminescence isn't just beautiful, it's a physical manifestation of our ability to connect with each other and our technology." She reached out, taking his hand. Where their skin touched, patterns of light danced between them. "And sometimes, very rarely, we can form these connections with other species." James gasped as he felt something brush against his consciousness, a presence that was unmistakably Naira, yet somehow more than just her. Through their touch, he caught glimpses of her thoughts, her feelings, her very essence. "This is impossible," he whispered, though he couldn't deny what he was experiencing. "I've been sensing it since we first met," she said softly. "You're receptive in a way I've never encountered in a human. And I think it might be the key to stopping Vex and his followers." Their moment of revelation was interrupted by alarms blaring throughout the ship. The rogue vessels were powering up their quantum resonance devices, preparing to plunge Earth into technological darkness. "We don't have much time," Naira said urgently. "The only way to prevent this is to establish a counter-resonance, but it would take a network of linked minds to generate a field strong enough." She squeezed his hand. "James, I know this is asking more than any diplomat has the right to ask, but—" "Do it," he said without hesitation. "Whatever you need from me, I'm in." What followed was unlike anything in human experience. Naira guided James through the process of opening his mind fully to the Varian psychic network. Other loyal Varians from her ship joined them, their combined consciousness forming a lattice of pure thought and energy. Through their shared awareness, James saw the true scope of Varian civilization, the beauty and complexity of their collective consciousness, the profound responsibility they felt as guardians of galactic harmony, and the deep divisions that had led to this crisis. He also felt, with breathtaking clarity, the depth of Naira's feelings for him. In the space between thoughts, their souls touched in a dance of mutual understanding that transcended physical form. This was more than just a diplomatic alliance or even a romantic connection, it was a bridge between two fundamentally different ways of experiencing reality. As their linked minds reached out to confront the True Path ships, James understood that whatever happened next would redefine not just Earth-Varian relations, but the very nature of human potential. The question was, were both their civilizations ready for such a profound transformation? The psychic network hummed with power as James, Naira, and the loyal Varian crew members joined their consciousness into a unified field. Through their shared awareness, James could sense the True Path ships positioning themselves around Earth's major population centers, their quantum resonance devices charging with ominous purpose. "Focus on my thoughts," Naira's voice echoed in his mind. "Let me guide you through this." Her presence wrapped around his consciousness like a warm embrace, helping him navigate the overwhelming sensations of the Varian mental network. Together, they began weaving a counter-resonance field, their combined mental energy creating patterns that rippled through space itself. James had never felt anything like it, it was as if he could touch the very fabric of reality, manipulating quantum fields through pure thought. But the True Path forces weren't going to give up easily. Coordinator Vex's voice boomed across all frequencies, both electromagnetic and psychic. "This resistance is futile and only proves our point. Humanity must be contained before they become a threat to galactic stability." Through their link, James felt Naira's fury at her fellow Varians' actions. "They're so focused on control that they've forgotten what made our civilization great in the first place, our ability to grow through connection, not domination." The battle that followed was unlike any in human history. As Vex ships attempted to activate their quantum resonance devices, James, and the unified consciousness he was part of pushed back with precisely tuned counter-frequencies. The space above Earth became a battlefield of invisible forces, quantum fields clashing in a dance of cosmic energy. But something unexpected happened as they fought. The unique combination of James's human consciousness and Varian psychic energy began creating effects that neither species had seen before. Where their minds touched the quantum field, new patterns emerged, hybrid frequencies that seemed to bridge the gap between human and Varian perception of reality. "This is incredible," Naira's thoughts flowed into his. "Your mind, it's not just compatible with our network, it's enhancing it. Creating new possibilities we never imagined." Through their deepening connection, James shared memories of Earth, the raw beauty of nature, the chaos and creativity of human cities, the endless capacity for adaptation and growth that defined his species. These images flowed through the network, touching the minds of everyone connected, including their opponents. Some of the True Path crew members began to waver, their rigid certainty shaken by this direct contact with human consciousness. They hadn't expected this level of sophistication, this depth of awareness from a species they dismissed as primitive. But Vex wasn't so easily swayed. His ship suddenly powered up its main drives, preparing for what their shared consciousness recognized as a suicide run at Earth's atmosphere. The quantum resonance device on his vessel had been modified to create a cascading failure that would cripple technology across half the planet. "We can't stop his ship through direct confrontation," Naira's thoughts raced. "The energy backlash would be catastrophic." "Then we don't fight," James projected back. "We show him another way." Drawing on their shared connection, he opened his mind completely, allowing his full human experience to flow through the network, all the pain, joy, fear, and hope that made up a human life. The effect was electric. The pure emotional intensity of human consciousness, amplified through the Varian psychic network, created a resonance that none of them had anticipated. The hybrid frequencies they generated earlier amplified exponentially, creating a field of pure understanding that enveloped all the ships in orbit. For a brief, eternal moment, everyone connected to the network, human and Varian alike, experienced each other's perspective in full. The True Path members felt the boundless potential of human development, while James glimpsed the ancient wisdom and deep harmony of Varian society. Vex's ship halted its suicide run as the shared revelation swept through his crew. The quantum resonance devices powered down one by one as the True Path members experienced firsthand the civilization they'd planned to subjugate. In the midst of this transformation, James and Naira's connection deepened beyond anything either had thought possible. Their consciousnesses danced together in perfect harmony, creating patterns of light and energy that recorded themselves in the very structure of spacetime. As the crisis subsided and the psychic network began to dissolve, they maintained their personal link. Through it, they both understood that this wasn't just a victory over the True Path movement, it was the beginning of something entirely new. Their unprecedented connection had opened the door to a future neither of their species had imagined possible. In the days following the confrontation with the True Path movement, Earth's atmosphere buzzed with activity as news of the event spread across both human and Varian societies. The Lunar Research Station, once a quiet scientific outpost, had become the center of a diplomatic revolution that would reshape both civilizations. James stood at his familiar observation window, but this time he wasn't alone. Naira's presence beside him was both physical and mental. Their psychic connection had stabilized into a permanent bond, defying all previous understanding of human-Varian interaction. Where their shoulders touched, subtle patterns of light danced across both their skins, a visible manifestation of their unique link. "The Confederation Council is in an uproar," Naira said, amusement coloring her thoughts. "They're still trying to understand how a human managed to achieve what our scientists thought impossible." She turned to face him, her violet eyes sparkling. "Though I notice they're more interested in studying the phenomenon than stopping it." James smiled, feeling the warm pulse of her emotions through their bond. "And Earth's governments aren't much better. Half of them are excited about the possibilities for human evolution, and the other half are worried about what it means for global security." He reached for her hand, watching as the contact sent ripples of light cascading up both their arms. At least the true path movement seems to have lost its momentum. It's hard to maintain prejudice when you've experienced another species' consciousness firsthand, Naira agreed. Even Vex has been advocating for a complete revision of our first contact protocols since his extradition back to Varian space. Their attention was drawn to movement outside the station's windows. A new Varian vessel was arriving, this one bearing the marks of the Confederation Science Academy. Since the discovery of James and Naira's stable psychic bond, both species had thrown themselves into studying the phenomenon, hoping to understand how it might reshape their future relations. But beyond the scientific implications, their connection had sparked something more profound in both societies. Humans were beginning to explore their latent psychic potential, while Varians were rediscovering the value of emotional openness they'd gradually suppressed in their pursuit of perfect harmony. The Academy wants to establish a permanent research facility here, Naira said, sharing the information she'd received through the Varian network. They're calling it the Bridge Initiative, a joint program to explore human-Varian cognitive compatibility. James felt a ripple of excitement through their bond. And Earth's United Space Command has approved it. They're even talking about creating a new division specifically for psychically sensitive personnel. He paused, feeling a flutter of uncertainty from Naira. What is it? She turned to face him fully, her skin glowing with the complex patterns that he'd learned meant deep emotion. They want us to lead it, James. Both of us. The first official human-Varian joint command. The offer shouldn't have surprised him. They were, after all, living proof that the two species could achieve unprecedented levels of cooperation. Yet the implications were staggering. That would mean permanent partnership, she finished, both aloud and in his mind. Official recognition of our bond at the highest levels of both governments. Her hand tightened on his. It won't be easy. We'll be charting a course through completely unknown territory, both diplomatically and personally. James pulled her closer, feeling the familiar surge of connection as their energies synchronized. Through their bond, he shared his answer before speaking it. Unknown territory is where humanity does its best work. Their kiss sent cascades of light rippling across the station's bioelectric systems, a phenomenon that would have seemed impossible just weeks ago. But then, impossibility was rapidly becoming a meaningless concept in this new era of human-Varian relations. As they stood together, watching Earth and the Varian ships hanging like jewels against the star-filled void, both felt the weight and wonder of what they represented. Their connection had done more than save Earth from the true path movement. It had opened a door to a future where the boundaries between species were not barriers but bridges, where difference bred not fear but fascination. Through their bond, they shared a vision of what was to come, training facilities full of humans learning to access their psychic potential, Varian cultural centers opening on Earth, joint scientific missions pushing the boundaries of both species' understanding of consciousness and reality itself. Their love story had become something greater, a prototype for a new kind of civilization. Ready to make history? Naira asked, her thoughts intertwining with his in that now familiar dance. James smiled, sending a wave of affection through their connection. With you? Always. Outside the station's windows, a new dawn was breaking over Earth's horizon. As the first rays of sunlight caught the iridescent hulls of the Varian ships, James and Naira's combined consciousness reached out to embrace whatever challenges and wonders awaited them. They had found each other across the vast distances of space, defied the boundaries between their species, and in doing so, changed the course of two civilizations. Their story would be told for generations on both worlds, not just as a tale of unexpected love, but as the moment when humanity took its first steps into a larger universe, guided by the light of understanding that burned between two hearts from different stars.